when we are live on both platforms. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. We're going to go live today to speak the following two childhood wounds. Please go on YouTube and look at first part 2. Yeah, so part 2. Tonight, I'm going to deepen with one of my favorite oils. It's called jasmine. So we're going to speak about the wound of betrayal first time. I'm not going to say to you what is the fifth wound because I want you to stay here. So the wound of betrayal, which wears, and the adult wears the mask of dominator or controller. And how does it begin? This wound forms exactly when you have inconsistent caregivers, so parents, grandparents, even teachers, but of a very early age in life, like when promises are broken, when manipulation takes place, when the trust is shattered very early in life. And you will see signs in the adulthood. Please go and see the first part, because there I explain more how do you wear these masks and how these wounds are affecting who you are, your relationships, how you show up in life, and everything. You can find me on YouTube, Mihaela Hegarty. So when you wear the mask of the dominator or controller, based on the wound of betrayal, you will have a lot of jealousy, distrust in people. You will be controlling everyone, situations, people. You will be hyper vigilant in your relationships. It's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for connecting. And you will have difficulty trusting even safe people. Okay. And therefore, you will keep on attracting people who will betray you, because your subconscious mind, your nervous system expects that disappointment. You're expecting it. You are calling for this kind of people. And this wound is activated between the ages of 2 years old and 4 years old. And this is happening when the sexual energy begins to develop, and it triggers that complex called Oedip complex. Okay, so it is experienced in the relationship with the parent of the opposite sex, so mother, son, or daughter, father. And a soul that chooses to heal this wound will attract the parent, will attract situations, will attract people, with whom it has a strong emotional connection and mutual attraction, because they will be creating that powerful Oedipal bond. Okay? So lovely to see you, Joanna. Welcome to this live. It's great to see you. You will find on the YouTube part 1. Okay? So I also have a master in philosophy that I finished, I don't know, about over 15 years ago, probably even 20. Today I'm deepening with jasmine, by the way. I need help for my son. Everyone who needs help needs to message me so we can have a discussion, and then I'll guide you. So according to Sigmund Freud, which I studied in my university, however, back then I didn't know about these wounds. He has a theory. And we all experience this complex, that the Oedip complex, at varying degrees. So between the age of 2 years old and 6 years old, every child becomes in love with the parent of the opposite sex, because this is when the life forces, the creative and sexual energy begins to awaken. Let's see the comments. I don't know how to message. So on my profile, there is a button there, message. I'm sure that as loads of people found the button to message me, you will find it a way. When there is a will, there is a way. Okay, so unfortunately, at this stage in life, this experience of love with the parent of the opposite sex is experienced poorly, because the mother becomes very possessive with her son, and the father is becoming very possessive with his daughter. Okay, so the more devalued or ignored the father is, the harder it is for the child to resolve this complex. And those who suffer from the wound of betrayal, thank you so much for the loves, because this way we will lift the live to the surface, so more people will be able to join us. Thank you so much for the shares as well. Again, these are information who should reach more and more people. I should do a video like I wished I knew these wounds so earlier in my life, like when I was even 18, 20. I would have been much different now. But everything comes at the right time. Everything comes at the right time. Okay. So those who are suffering from the wound of betrayal did not manage to resolve that Oedip complex early in childhood. So, as a result, their attachment to the parent of the opposite sex remains excessive. And this affects their emotional and also their sexual relationships as adult. So, when you're wondering exactly what's happening, this is what it is. So when the child begins to experience feelings like betrayal, they will create the mask of the dominator or the mask of the controller, of course, to protect themselves, because we all wear these masks as as a sign of protection. And the mask is reflected in a body that radiates power, strength. So I'm passionate about recognizing these wounds in people, and I explain in part one how do we recognize a body which has the first three wounds, which are rejection, abandonment, and humiliation. Okay, and the body of a person with the wound of betrayal, it is powerful, it has strength. It's kind of like I'm saying, I am responsible. You can rely on me. That's kind of the attitude. You can rely on me. And the male dominator is often, who often has broad shoulders, it has narrow hips, and the body is showing dominance. As a dominant female, you will carry, strength in your hips, in your thighs, belly, button. So that's kind of the way to look at. And the lower body often it's wider than the shoulders. Okay. Well, so when someone also has like a pear-shaped body, the more pronounced the lower part is, the stronger the wound of betrayal. Thank you so much for the loves. People wearing this dominator mask, this controller mask, will take up space confidently in a room. Okay, they are very physical. They seem, they want to give that look at me, that kind of attitude. Okay, they may be heavier but not necessarily overweight, like big bones, what we call it. Rather, they appear more solid and more powerful, not overweight. Weight gain, indicates like a mental pattern of not taking up enough space in one's own life. And their gaze is intense, is seductive. When they look at someone, they make that person feel special. They make you feel important. Sometimes you think about those people who are narcissistic. Good evening, Matt. It's lovely to have you here. I am talking about the wound of betrayal right now. And I will continue with the last one. I'm not going to say which one, because I want people to stay until the end. So, and tonight I'm deepening with jasmine, one of my favorite oils. And here for YouTube, I have jasmine right now. Okay, so the strength of this person with the wound of betrayal and the mask of dominator or controller, their main characteristic, they are demanding with themselves, very demanding. They want to prove that what they're capable of. Any act of cowardice, like the weakness, it feels like a betrayal to them. That's why they have a very hard time in accepting others. Well, this is my passionate. I was speaking to one of my friends today, and I said I can talk and talk for hours with about these wounds, because it is my favorite. It is my niche. It's my favorite topic, and this is why, yes, probably more videos will come on this. So amongst all of the 5 emotional wounds, the dominator is the one who has the most expectations from others. And again, think about the narcissistic person, so what is they have the most expectations from others because they like to anticipate and also to have control over everything. Their expectation aim to verify whether others do things right or whether they can trust them. Do I put my here? Do I put my phone number here? Honestly, I don't know why exactly you should put your phone number there. You can, but if you what for me to message you, do you mean? Okay. It's very easy to message me. Honestly, it is very easy. I have, as soon as you go on my profile, it says email, phone number, this person. You can put your phone number. It's not a problem at all. So, they have a strong personality. They assert their beliefs forcefully. Okay? They expect others to agree with them. They often use the phrase, do you understand? So when I speak to you, I say, do you understand? But yeah, in such an assertive way, to ensure that you heard me clearly, that I'm making myself, quite like passive aggressive, quite, that kind of thing. Thank you so much for the hearts. I really, really appreciate you. Again, they are highly skilled. They are very efficient people. But also on the other side, they lack patience because they don't like people who are moving slow. No patience there at all. And as a parent, they expect their children to learn fast, to be efficient, just like they are. So they put the pressure. And here I'm going to speak about one of the people that I admire very much. She's speaking about the 4 parts of the tree: the root, the trunk. How shall I say it? Then the leaves, and then the fruits. Okay. Oh, this will be life changing for you. Life changing. So I'm doing some notes now about what I'm going to speak. So don't miss my lives. You will love that one. So again, when things don't go as planned, these people which wear the mask of dominator, of controller, they can become quite aggressive, very aggressive actually, and they rarely see themselves that way. Me aggressive? No, really, no. I just felt in my gut that you can help my son. If your intuition says so, you need to listen to your intuition. Always, I say, people, listen to your intuition. So they are well, they can be. Absolutely, they can be. This is, I said yesterday in part 1, the wound of betrayal and the wound of humiliation are one of my deepest wounds. We have all the 5 of them, but these 2, my therapist, later on, I discovered they are my deepest one. So I recognize myself in a lot of their characteristic is and so on. But yeah, they definitely it can be quite aggressive, but at one point they become very loving, very attentive. But then at the next point they become angry, explosive, aggressive. The dominator personality have a very active mind. They tend to predict the future. They're trying to foresee what happens next. Okay, they don't have middle ground. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the loves and likes. So the stronger the wound of betrayal, the more control they need. They need more and more to anticipate things. They prefer to arrive early to events just to make sure that they feel in control, because if they're late, they feel like they are not in control. They dislike being late, and the same they're asking for from other people. And I remember in my life, I was looking at the clock. 1 minute you're late, you're done. Excuse me, you're 1 minute late. And I was so particular with time, so particular. I remember very clearly. Probably also, of course, from the wound, but later on, because of the job that I had, it was very political, high profile job. Everything needed to be by the clock. So yeah, like in the army, they are very rigid in this time zone. Okay, they resist opening up emotionally, because it is that fear that if I confess to you later, you will use the information against me. So I must deeply trust you before I confiding in you, before I open up, and so on. Their ego is very easily hurt by criticism, very easy. Yeah, I love Jasmine. They hate being supervised. And I remember from in 15 years of adult social care work in the UK across councils, there are people who are very stable. They've got a job, they don't leave it until pension. For me, it was every year another council, every year another council, exactly like it says here. I hated to be supervised. I hated to be controlled by a dominant person. I just couldn't cope with the thought about having a manager, having bosses, and so on. No, it was impossible for me. And I always got in conflict with them. People were telling me, don't take this personally. What did I know then? What did I know then? It was just a job, Mihaela. Don't take things personally. I have to take them personally. How can they dare supervising me? How can they dare dominate me? Right. And from the childhood, these people will assert independence by saying, I can do it myself. Leave me alone. Okay. That is the kind of things, they want to do things by their way, but also they crave recognition, appreciation. They crave praise for their efforts. And what do I keep on saying on these lives? If you watch me from the beginning, I was going over dead bodies to climb up the ladder. So that was me. I don't know how many. I left social work 2 years ago. So yeah, until about 4 or 5 years ago, that was me climbing over dead bodies. Yeah, 6 years ago. Then I started to get doTERRA in my life and started to mellow down. But I just didn't care. If I needed to fire you, easy peasy, I would do that. Just I know that I take another white dot in my CV. I fired people as well, because that is seen as good in management, because you can do that anyway. So that, they crave a lot of recognition, appreciation, praise, everything. They hide their vulnerability for fear, that someone might use it to control or to hurt them. And they hate being lied to, but often they would lie themselves, and they will say, oh, I'd rather be slapped than lied to. I better die than being lied to. Ironically, themselves bend the truth often, because in their eyes, these aren't lies. They are just necessary justifications. Very interesting, isn't it? And their reputation is extremely important for them. If someone tarnishes it, they feel insulted, they feel furious, experiences, as a betrayal. And this is why they will do everything, like step over dead bodies to protect it. They will lie, they will do anything to protect their ego, their everything. So dominant parents often will act this way, persevering their image rather than prioritizing their children's happiness, through their justifying it as it. I'm doing this for my daughter's good. I'm doing it for my son's good. So they dislike being caught off guard and not knowing the answer. Yes, absolutely. And their greatest fear is separation, is disconnection, is rejection. That's the first, the biggest fear. And they find it very difficult to recover after a breakup. It reminds them that they had no control in that. And that they also struggle to make choices. Every decision carries a risk of losing something, and therefore losing control in the end. They also feel very confident. They appear confident. They feel in control. Physically, the dominator often sits and leans back, like that kind of I don't know, leaning back. Okay, maybe with arms crossed, and they're very good at listening, and also they might lean forward, like when they speak, to assert their dominance. A dominator is very seductive. His sex life is fulfilling. Um, and also he feels fulfilled only when there is passion, when there is that sense of conquest. When the spark fades, he will often manipulate the situation, so the partner is the one to end it. And the female dominator feels very much controlled by the partner, but remains cautious. And she enjoys intimacy only if she initiates it or feels in charge of seduction. So remember that all of these wounds are affecting our life. And you wonder sometimes, why am I like that? Because of this. Food habits, for dominators, for controllers, they eat quickly. They don't have time to waste. Everything has to be in. Yeah, remember their time. Yeah, when focused on a task, for example, they may skip the meals. They considering food unimportant. uh, they like to season their food, themselves, rather than having someone else season it for them. They may overeat when losing control, and therefore the ailments, the diseases, the symptoms that they are common health issues are intense fear of losing control or going crazy. So it is very much, I love your videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you. And I hope to see you here for a while. Um, so, coming back, they have very much, they will end up, or they have like issues here on the mind, on the brain, because they're all the time, they're control freaks. Absolutely, they are control freaks. Let me also get my glasses, because I can't see without, I struggle to see. They are definitely control freaks. And they fear that losing control, they go crazy. And this is why a lot of people with this kind of issues, like dominator, controller masks, they will end up maybe having Parkinson's, maybe having brain problems, because they control everything. And what do we know about Parkinson and in general? It's losing control. Especially that my grandmother also had Parkinson before she passed away, and I studied about Parkinson. I know that it is you get Parkinson because you can't control a person, or you can't control a situation, and this is why you get it. Maybe they have joint pains, especially in the knee. They have impotence. Let me see what you're writing. Hello. I could watch yesterday. I couldn't watch yesterday's session. Is it on your YouTube? Yes, it is on my YouTube. Please just Google it, Mahela Hegarty, and you will find my channel. Okay, it's and you will be able to see it there. It's about the wound of rejection, abandonment, and humiliation. I spoke yesterday. They can have digestive issues. The people whom wounds is betrayal, digestive issues, especially liver, stomach problems, and also, hi, good evening. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see exactly. Hi, Kim. It's great to see you. How do we heal the wound of betrayal? So many who suffer from this wound are deeply hurt because the parent of the opposite sex did not fulfill their expectation of being an ideal parent. And it is important to realize that that parent likely carries the same wound themselves. So if I go into my father's past, definitely I see that he also suffered from that wound, from what he spoke to me about my grandmother and so on. So remember also, which is throughout the five wounds, the root of every wound lies in our inability to forgive ourselves first and then to forgive the others. And the deeper the wound of betrayal, the more you betray yourself, and then the more you betray others. Please, where comes from your knowledge? Thank you. Well, there are books that I read, there are seminars, there are podcasts, there are my own experience. There is the experience with when I work with others. I have 6 years of experience in doTERRA, which is the oil, the essential oil, the supplements that I use as tools in supporting. Okay. Yeah. So this is what it is. Okay. So we thank you so much for the heart. I send you all my love back. So we approach others with what we do to ourselves first. So if I hate myself, for sure I will hate you as well. But we refuse to see that. It's not like oh yes, I know I hate myself, so no, we refuse to see it. So when we live from our ego, when we lead with our ego, when we live from the ego rather than from the soul, from the spirit, from the heart, you can't truly be happy. You just can't. You will no, it's impossible. That's why it's important to recognize these moments when your ego is taking over, when you see that you know in a particular situation, hang on, let me step back and see exactly, am I reacting from ego? Okay, so if you become more aware of these moments, if you take control of them, because this is something that you can control, not trying to control John, not trying to control Matt, not trying to control Joanna, and so on. You can control your reactions in certain situations. Step back, take a step back, and this is when you regain the mastery of your life. We wear these masks only because we want to protect ourselves. We are afraid to suffer again. Yes, totally understand that. But when you notice your mask based on your wound, be grateful. Be grateful because God gave you that mask to evolve. God gave you that mask to become a better person. This is a fantastic insight about human behavior. Thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate it. Again, I am also a social worker by profession. So I've done a lot of psychology in my university. I've done a lot of human behavior because as a social worker, I worked with people. So I helped people. But that's another story. That's another story, okay? Um, Kim, what about the grown-up daughter who still knocks at her mother through her broken looks you wanted to say, who looks at her mother through her broken lens? So that daughter will need to come and seek forgiveness from the mother. She needs to go back and say, Mother, I'm sorry. But that daughter needs to go deep into her, needs to have a discussion with someone, goes deep, what happened to her, how she sees her parents, and ultimately that will be the liberation, everything when she'll become better. She goes back to that mother that she watches her through the lenses. Let me put my yeah. So that daughter will need to go to her mother and say, Mother, I am sorry for looking at you, that, that I was that 2 years old and I stomped my feet. I'm sorry that I shouted at you. I'm sorry that I slapped you. I'm sorry that I judged you. Yeah, so this is when that daughter will be truly healed. I'm listening and learning from you. My daughter studies social work. Yeah, if I knew that, my mother forced me to study social work. I didn't want to study social work. It didn't come like from the inside, but she said, you must study social work because one day you will earn a lot of money. That was her dream, probably, and she wanted to fulfill that dream through me. But I don't know, I'm grateful for what happened. I really am grateful, because I wouldn't have been the person that I am today if I didn't do all of that. So I'm very grateful. Okay, but social work is not what it's really sold as, especially if you go into management. This is why I came out of this profession. I came out of the field of health and social care after 15 years of uh, professing in it, having a profession, just because everything it's about the money, everything it's about political complaints. You have to kiss ASS and so on. It's a lot of, yeah. I didn't feel that I was helping you as a person. Okay. Again, when you notice your mask, be grateful, because the person or event that triggered your wounds has helped you to realize that you needed that healing. And awareness is the first step to transformation. Okay, let's see what you're writing, people. Thank you. I feel it's her anger from the fact she don't have the parents like her fiend's hand. At 50, I had a bad stroke. I'm almost okay. I'm grateful every day I woke up and can go to work. Exactly. Be grateful. You could have died or be paralyzed or who knows what. And regarding that daughter, it is the anger. My mother told me, told my to study for a midwife. You will receive a lot of flowers and candy. Well, probably your mother wanted to receive that, and she wanted to fulfill her dream through you, my lovely. What can we do? It is what it is. This is why, yeah, I'm going into another topic, so I don't want that. But again, the key is that daughter that you're speaking about to go back to the mother and seek forgiveness. That is the key to healing. Although I'm sure the daughter will say, why shall I go and seek forgiveness from my mother? She should be the one coming. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. So essential oils that support the healing from betrayal. I'm going to give you, some supporting tools in this. First of all is turmeric. Turmeric, it's very powerful oil. It strengthens that confidence. It gives you courage. It helps you release that emotions of trauma, abuse, betrayal, fear. It brings stability, it brings faith, believe in the bright future, and it restores the trust and heals the despair. Menopause. Yeah, here I'm the same menopause for 4.5 years. Message me and I'll guide you. At the moment, I'm talking about the wounds, but there is a lot. We need to look at menopause holistically. This is why at the age of almost 48, I thrive, even that I'm menopausal for 4.5 years, even that I have thyroid nodules and so on. Release the stagnations. Exactly. The same, the second oil, but remember, when I say that what an oil does, please, would you recommend for acne? First of all is frankincense, my lovely. Anything to do with the skin is frankincense. This is the first oil that I recommend, okay? You need to dilute it with coconut oil and apply it daily. But acne, it's more than it's more than just the physical side. We need to go holistically. Body, mind, and spirit. What means that? What is the conflict? What is the conflict behind that acne? Okay. So I have videos in the past. If you go on my YouTube videos, I have some recordings there where I speak about acne. You will need to go back there. Please, what you recommend? Yeah, okay. So if you go one of my videos, you will see. So when I say what an oil does, so like I said about turmeric, it strengthens confidence, courage and so on, whatever I said. That means that you deepen with that oil and you make that oil your best friend. I have books and books around me here, hundreds of books around me that I read. I also have cards, for example, where I read what is that oil bring me, what affirmation, what's their gift of life. So this is why I'm able to tell you guys here what these oils are doing, because when I use an oil, I use it with intention, and I know when I use turmeric to heal this wound, I know, turmeric, please give me courage, please give me strength, please release that emotion of trauma, emotions of abuse. So I say it, okay? Mentor, hormonal yeah, if you don't take care of yourself when you are in menopause, you will degrade, you will become like a ruin. So this is why you need to look after yourself once you start this life. The mind is very powerful. Absolutely. This is why use the mind, use the heart in order to control your body, to master your body. Okay, please, turmeric. Please give me faith. Please give me belief that in a brighter future. This is what I do when I take my oils. The next one is thyme. Thyme is the oil of forgiveness and release. And again, what do I do when I use thyme? It purifies heart from negativity. So when I take thyme, I will say, I release negativity. It brings that tolerance and patience. So when I use thyme, I say, please bring me time, please bring me tolerance, please bring me patience, please bring me teaching. It teaches you to let go of the past and replace fear with love. Replace anger, that the daughter was using anger with love, because love is the answer to everything. Daughter is 18, nothing helps nothing. I know it's a difficult age. My daughter is almost 15, well, 14 and a half she is. It's a difficult age because when they are teenagers, they know that they know it all. With patience, you need to be an example. Hello, darling. Hello. It's lovely to see you. You need to be an example for your daughter, because she will look at you. She will look at you and see how is she behaving, how is she, you need to definitely be an example for her and work with yourself. Work with yourself alone. Address the root causes, herbal remedies, is connected to gut, diet, inflammation. Yeah, absolutely. So the next oil, it's forgive. As I said about forgive in other wounds as well, but in this one, it supports the process of forgiveness, and it is a common oil because what do I say? The root cause, it is in our inability to forgive. Okay, so we need forgive. It helps you in the process of forgiving. It helps us to let go resentment and to remember that everyone deserves compassion. What did I say yesterday? There is no bad people in this world. It's just people who suffer and which are not aware of their wounds. The next oil is adaptive, and please permit me to bring adaptive because this is one of my favorite oils, and I arranged them in alphabetical order. So I'm going to look for the adaptive. This is the touch version. Okay, this is the touch version. Yes, hurting people. Okay, so this is what we need to do. And how will adaptive help me? It's a very calming blend. And again, where do you use it? On pulse points, you use it on the neck, behind the ears, on the wrists, and inhale with intention, bring me that inner peace, bring me emotional safety, reduce my anxiety. This is the things that you should say when using adaptive. You can put it on your back as much as you reach. You can put it on your soles. You can put it on your heart chakra. It's really, really very calming. It increases that self-confidence. It brings peace, emotional safety, reduces the anxiety, panic attacks, depression. Very good oil. Then the next one is bergamot, and bergamot is the oil of self-acceptance. I become more aware when I use adaptive blend. Absolutely, it's a very powerful oil. I use it as a perfume. The same with jasmine. It's just they smell so beautifully. Yeah, I ditched the normal perfumes that you put 6 years ago. So I only use oils. Coming back to bergamot is the oil of self-acceptance. It awakens that hope, joy, unconditional love. It helps you see life with enthusiasm and optimism. Very, very good oil. And the next one is hope, which is the oil of renewal. It brings light into darkness. It restores the faith. It gives you that courage, to move forward. It reminds us that everything can be healed. It doesn't matter when, but it can be healed at any age, at any time, at the right time. Okay? And especially when we choose to believe in our inner strength and light. Again, if you deepen with them deeply, deepen with the oils deeply, make them your best friends, you will see results. It's that compounding effect. It won't be in a day or an hour. It needs to be days, months, years. Rosemary, again, it's a very good oil in healing the wound of betrayal because it gives you that mental clarity. It releases, it dissolves suspicion. Myrrh, again, very important. Frankincense, I said it fosters good relationship with the father, healthy relationship with the father, and myrrh is with mother. Myrrh is emotional nourishment. It's mother wound work, very deep. Sandalwood, again, last oil that I recommend in healing this wound because it brings you trust, grounding, and inner strength. And how do they work? Again, through the limbic system. Limbic system, I spoke yesterday about the limbic system. Go back and watch part 1. And these oils will help you quiet that voice in your head which says, people will disappoint me. I can't trust these people. Can you talk about PMS? I did in one of my videos. Honestly, I have loads, but possibly let's just take this subject tomorrow. Okay, PMS, maybe I will respond to more of your ailments and diseases, but they will come from these wounds. They will come from these wounds. This is why it's an interconnected cycle. The wounds make you a particular person, makes you with resentment, makes you with hatred, makes you with, controller, and that will reflect on what kind of um, diseases and ailments you have in your body. They are interrelated. So please, for the time being, listen to this video, and we'll continue with PMS another time, okay? The affirmation that you should say when you're working with this one is, I release that need to control what is not mine. I release all of that. And again, it's very hard. You will need years on this. Years is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy when you're maybe 50 or 40 or so on, and you controlled everything all your life. But it's a way of starting it. I release the need to control what is not mine. Thank you so much for the roses. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Again, I release what I cannot control. I can't control you, Matt. I can't control you, Joanna. I can't. But I can control how I react to what you're saying to me or how you behave to me. I can control that. At some point, Buddha was saying someone was coming very, very angry at him, and they were telling him off, and, a lot of hatred. And Buddha just stayed back and said, thank you, but I'm not going to receive these presents that you brought me. And he was calling presents all of that hatred. So, Joanna, if you come to me with hatred, I'm joking now. Joanna will never do that. But I'm just saying, if Joanna comes to me, you're nasty, you're this, you're not listening to me. I will say, thank you. Of course, Joanna, you want. I'm just giving an example, okay? I just took your name because we liaise every day. Almost every day. Thank you, Joanna, for all of these presents. I will not accept them, and therefore they stay with you. Keep them. And this is how you work. And I'm on the process as well. I'm not fully healed. As much as we live, we are on the path of healing. Okay? And an awareness exercise, ask yourself, am I protecting myself from the past or from the present? So that's how you work with this wound. And now we're going to, let me see what the time is. Yeah. So the next wound and the last one is the wound of injustice. The wound of injustice, which the person, the adult, will wear the mask of the rigid. And how it begins, is when a child is raised in a rigid, in a critical, in a perfectionist environment, by critical parents, rigid in terms of emotions and mind, not only one, rigid in general, perfectionist environment. And this ones creates rigidity. Children who grow up under harsh expectations, they learn to suppress their emotions. And as an adult, you will be a perfectionist. You will have high standards from yourself and from others. My theory as well come from Buddhism. Yeah, I used to practice Vipassana many years in my life. And Vipassana is not necessarily a Buddhist, because they say religion does not come. They just basically say observing sensations in your body. And they say in Vipassana, it can be practiced by any religion. So that's what I've done. I met Vipassana when I was 21 years old. So as a person, suffering from the wound of injustice, You will become an adult which is perfectionist. You have high standards from yourself and others. You are emotionally cold, almost numbness. You will have high standards. You will have difficulty to open up. You will have difficulty in expressing your vulnerability. You will be workaholic, work. Yeah, to just forget about things. And of course, therefore, the relationship that you will attract in your life will be, you will attract unemotionally partners, emotionally unavailable partners, because vulnerability feels unsafe and it feels dangerous. And this is why you wonder, why do I always keep attracting emotionally unavailable partners? Because of this wound. And until you don't heal it, you will keep attracting them. Yeah. And this wound is activated during the stage when a child begins to develop their individuality, between the age of 4 and 6 years old, around the time when they become aware of themselves as a human being, a unique identity, a unique entity, with a greater whole, with their own differences and so on. And the child feels it is unfair not to be able to express their individuality. And this is when they trigger this wound. They are not allowed to be themselves, because those parents, which I mentioned, they're rigid, they're criticism, they're perfectionist. So the child will not be able to express. The wound is experienced in the relationship with the parent of the same sex. So mother, daughter, and the father, son. Okay. And the child suffers from the parents' emotional coldness, meaning their inability to feel. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. Maybe you have that inability to express what you feel, your emotions. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that all the parents of those who suffer from injustice are cold. No, but rather by they are perceived that way by the child. Okay. And the child who suffers, the child also suffers because of the parent. They have this authoritarian attitude, authoritative, frequent criticism. They have that severity. They are very intolerant. They have that excessive conformity. And in most cases, that parent suffers, as we know from the other wounds, from the same wound themselves. Go back into your mother's childhood. Go back into your father's childhood. And this is when you will start having compassion towards them. So the reaction to injustice, it consists of blocked emotions. Yeah, I have people that I'm working with and say, I can't feel my emotions. I literally can't. It's like I'm blocked. We go back into the childhood, and this will, in the moment when they have these blocked emotions, they believe that this will prevent pain. It's, again, a mask to prevent pain, to prevent being hurt again, to be safe, to protect. The mask is always to protect the adult, because this is how you grow up, yeah? And the child starts to create that mask. In case of rigidity, in this case. So, even though someone has this blocked their emotion, it doesn't mean that they don't feel anything. No. So this is what majority of the people will think. Oh, if I have blocked emotion, that doesn't mean that I no longer feel. No, it's actually the contrary. Rigid people are very sensitive, but they develop that inability not to feel, or maybe to show sensitivity to others, because they're afraid to suffer again. And it's normal. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate this. And amongst the 5 character types, that we mentioned, and now I can repeat them all, we have rejection, humiliation, well, rejection, abandonment, humiliation, betrayal, and now injustice. Okay, so amongst these all of these 5 character types, the rigid is the most likely to cross their arms every single time. And you see exactly, and I always look at when I speak to people in real life, really, do they cross their arms? Because they are basically blocking their solar plexus, their anahata chakra, their heart chakra, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and this is a way of blocking, what I don't want you to feel what I'm feeling, so therefore I'm trying to cross my heart chakra, so you don't steal from my energy, you don't feel what I'm feeling. It's preventing themselves from feeling. I love reading body language. The same here. I absolutely love that, because your eyes, your body language tells more than your words. They say, especially uh, in public speaking, and not only, even here on social media, your body language says more than the words themselves. It's only 7% that it is the words, and the rest is non-verbal. Okay. Yeah, so another way of avoiding emotions is being dressed in black. They love that. Rigid people seek justice and fairness at all costs. They become perfectionists. They strive always to be correct. And the mask of the rigid is distinguished by a straight, they're stiff, as perfect as possible, body. They're well proportioned. They have straight shoulders, their aligned hips, everything perfect, everything perfect. They may gain weight throughout the life, but their body remains balanced. They fear gaining that weight and to look imbalanced or to look imperfect, and they will do anything to prevent it. Anything. When they're standing, they tend to suck their stomach just to say, oh, you see, I don't have a belly. I'm perfect. And rigid women believe that they have, they believe that having a belly, it's not normal for a woman. The female body should have curves to be perfect. This is the kind of thinking that they have. And this is why when you're a man and you see this woman and you meet her and she starts talking about you, you understand and you look at her with compassion, because you know exactly what wound is she having. Men and women of this type, the rigid, have round, firm bottoms. Women have slim waists, because they want to look perfect. And rigid people like to wear tight clothing, belts around their waist. They believe that, tightening the solar plexus area, the emotional center, it helps them feel less. And these people are also full of energy. They are dynamic people. They move dynamically. They gesture, lack their gestures lack flexibility. They reveal that emotional closure. For example, difficulty fully opening their arms, especially maybe when they hug someone. But they have beautiful skin because they want to be perfect. They have bright skin. They're looking after their everything, their body, skin, whatever. They want to feel confident, and their jaw is tight. Their neck is held straight with pride. And again, from the childhood, the rigid realizes that they are valued more for what they do rather than from who they are. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this because this is very important. In the childhood, the rigid, the person with this wound of injustice, which wears the mask of rigid, realize that they are valued more for what they do rather than for whom they are. Yeah, and even that this is not true or is not always true, they're convinced of this. They're convinced, and they become an adult convinced of this, because this is why they become high achievers, independent people, self-sufficient early on. Like, I have one lady here on my live. I know that she's coming quite often. That she says, I find it very hard to seek help. I find it very hard to, to say that I need help, because this is coming from the wound of injustice. You become high achiever, you became independent probably too early in life, and you became self-sufficient. You dislike as well being late, which you often are as a person with this wound of injustice, because you try to spend too much time preparing yourself, to look perfect. You put the makeup, you put this, and you're late, but you dislike being late, but you need to look perfect. So yeah, you are also convinced that you are always right. They want every details to be perfect. They have to be, everything that they say have to be correct, though sometimes they exaggerate easily, and they often use the words like always, never, very. So for example, I'll give you, a wife might tell her husband, you're never here, you're always gone. Not always, I'm sure, not always. Or when she says you're never here, you can't be never, but they use these kind of words, They try to exaggerate things. And they often begin with sentences like, well, you're never here. Or maybe good. Yeah, they start sentences with good to ensure that they sound right or appropriate. And their fear of being wrong is their strongest. Like every wound has a fear of being so on. You have to see the lives, the recordings. But the fear of being wrong is the strongest, because this is why they're often faced with situations which are requiring choices, and they are more afraid. The more afraid they are, the more such situation they will attract. They will constantly question whether their decisions are the right ones. You will see someone who struggles to choose a dessert, maybe a wine. I don't know, maybe they will look at a restaurant meal and they're probably looking, which one shall I take? I don't know. You're probably looking at the rigid in that moment. They will always struggle to choose. They're very demanding of themselves in all areas of the life. Again, that perfectionism. They become highly competent. They have high standards, in themselves and others. They begin to ask from others to be the same. So if I'm a rigid woman, I want a man which has high standards, and so on. For instance, a rigid woman might say, "Stop seeing me as a robot who can do everything." She will say that. "Stop seeing me as a robot who can do everything." Yeah. And the rigid, again, likes others to always know that they're doing and planning. And of course, they dislike to be called lucky, since to them, luck is not fair or deserved. They want everything to be well organized, and they hate when they have to look for things. Some can become obsessive about perfect order. They struggle to distinguish between rigidity and discipline. What's the fine line between them? Rigidity, discipline, They often living in constant stress from that self-imposed perfection. Always stress. Always stress. I can't do that because, it's not perfect. And those who wear the mask of the rigid rarely get sick. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting, and if they do, they usually feel pain only when it's very severe. So they have a very high pain threshold. Yeah, that's the word that I was looking for. They're harsh with their bodies. They have strong self-control. It's very much about control. Is it called the mask of the rigid? That's correct. The wound is the wound of injustice, and the mask that they wear is the mask of the rigid. And their main emotion they experience is anger, especially towards themselves. Oh my God, I didn't do that perfect. I'm after I hit the button to close my live. Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. And this is anger. This is anger, especially towards this person. Just one moment. We have to do the puzzle at 1 hour, which I haven't done because. Just bear with me, please. Now I've done it. Perfect. Thank you so much for your patience. So the first reaction, is that anger. And when they feel this, is to attack someone else. Who can I blurb? If I'm angry, I'm going quickly downstairs to give this anger as a present. What did I say about Buddha when people came angry? If I have a lot of anger in me, I'm going straight downstairs to give it to someone else. I want to redirect it, but also it's directed inwards as well. I have been following your videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I post once a day in terms of those videos, okay? But conversations, I have tens of. I don't want to go more than that, but let's say tens. They have difficulty, allowing themselves to be loved, which is quite sad because we know love is the answer to everything. They're having issues with expression, emotions, affection. Thus, they are often perceived as cold. You are very unaffectionate. And that was a very big shock for me. I'm coming from Romania. Let me read. The videos are amazing. I love this way. So I share them with others who I need. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing with other people, because this knowledge should go to as many people as possible, because they might trigger those aha moments. So coming back to what I wanted to say is, when I'm coming from Romania, I lived there almost 29 years. I came to the UK and I was literally hit hard, because I perceived the people in the UK quite cold, quite unaffectionate. And it was very interesting, again, because of this wound which was in me. As I said, we have all the 5 of them, but some are deeper than others. But because of this, I perceived, and I attracted. My husband is Welsh, which means that he's British, and I often say to him, "You're cold. You're unaffectionate. Us people, the Balkanic people, Latinic people, we're like this all over the place, right? We express ourselves." But yeah, I learned it. I learned to accept it. Sorry, I can see some questions there. I need to go back and the present still belongs to them if we don't accept. Yes, that's absolutely right. Yeah, so again, the rigid tends to compare themselves to those who they see as better, as more perfect, as more higher in ranks, as higher in functions. They all the time compare, all the time. I'm happy to see you live. I come live every single day since the 23rd of November, something like that. November time. I agree. I am from Bulgaria. There we are. There we are. We are from that part of the world which we like to express ourselves. By the way, I am coming live every single day. I'll come tomorrow as well. Your videos have been very informative and helpful. Thank you very much. I thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your time to look at them. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. I am the one thanking. Again, one of the biggest fear of the rigid is coldness, indifference. They cannot tolerate those. They associate them with heartless or unjust. That's why it is crucial for the rigid person to be told they're good. They're waiting for that reassurance, good in what they do, good in what, especially who they are. Remember, from the childhood, they were told, they perceived that they were good for what they do, but not for who they are. I love you as you are, my love. You are a good hearted person. They love that. They love this. And they are drawn into everything which is noble, which is valuing, they respect and honor deeply. They love this kind of, they're impressed by people in positions, especially positions of authority. And when they believe they can obtain a title or recognition, they are willing to make every effort and sacrifice to achieve it. Okay, if they believe they can obtain a title or a recognition, so they will do anything. And in their sexual life, rigids are often difficult to let go, and also to feel pleasure. This is why I've done a few a few videos on libido and so on, because that's also related to this wound and not only. Okay, and this is why I have people who are telling me that my sexual life is this and that, and we go into this kind of discussions. And especially the rigid, it has difficulty to let go and fully feeling the pleasure. I have one person the other day telling me, I have issues with feeling orgasm. There we are. And if we go back to your childhood, let's see exactly what happened there. They struggle to express tenderness, they struggle to feel it, They also are amongst the most attractive people and most sensual people, sensual looking people, but they struggle to feel tenderness, to feel emotions, and so on. Although they're wearing tight clothes, sexy clothes, they love to be admired, they have this difficulty of, it's very sad, very sad. But it can be healed. And I'm telling you right away what you can do. Don't live this life. A rigid woman is also described as, seductress. She likes to attract men, but she likes to attract men only to then reject them coldly. This is what they do. Okay, again, going back to the wound, not because they want to, but that wound taught them that way. And she doesn't want to enter a relationship. She's often disappointed because she doesn't match her ideal. But it's no ideal. Excuse me. No woman or man is ideal. You just have to accept and work with it. I'm married for, 18 years? No, I met my husband 18 years ago. We're married for almost 17. We married very quickly, 1 year and a half after. We're still together. Right, regarding food, the rigid prefers salty over sweet, likes crunchy textures. And amongst all the 5 characteristic types, I mentioned them a few times, they are the most likely to choose a vegetarian diet. Likely, no, we don't generalize. And common ailments, common diseases that they will, we said they don't get sick very often, but common ailments that they will get is like body stiffness, in the joints, in the neck tension, or cracks fingers. They have that mental exhaustion. Maybe they have some constipation there because they can't let go. They will have hemorrhoids, again coming with constipation. They will have cramps. They will have varicose veins, acne. You asked me about acne. I don't know if you're still here. They will have psoriasis, and in general skin related, because it's about boundaries. Any issues with the skin is about boundaries. Liver problems, due to suppressed anger. We said that they get angry and so on. We said about that, yeah. They suppress the anger, frequent nervousness. They will have insomnia. You see, they are not so prone to C disease, CA, and so on. the disease of the century, like the others. Okay, they will have insomnia, they will have vision problems. Yeah, these are quite common. And again, what do we need to do? If you suffer from this wound, if it is the deepest wound in you that you recognize through everything that I said, the wound of injustice, you recognize yourself in this wound. This is the first step. Oh, hang on. What this woman said, it's like me. It's really me. You wear the mask of the rigid, and and you start admitting every time you are unjust towards yourself, that you put too much pressure on you, and then towards others. And this is the hardest part, because this is where the healing begins. It's natural for someone who suffers from injustice, to attract unfair situation, because as their wound keeps drawing them in that direction until healing starts to occur. And remember, the root cause of every single wound is it lies in our inability to forgive what we've done to ourselves and to others. It's so hard. It's hard to forgive ourselves because we often don't realize, we don't realize that we hold grudges against our own being. And forgive yourself for wearing all of those masks. That's, again, I'm sorry, Mihaela, that you were, and that I've done this to you. Forgive yourself for wearing those masks, knowing that at the time you believed, that it is the only way to protect yourself. It was the only way to protect yourself. You have beautiful eyebrows. Greeting from Czech Republic. Thank you so much. Some other people are commenting that they hate them. So you see, they are perceived differently by different people. I thank you for the compliment. Some people don't like them, and I see in comments. Not that I'm affected, honestly. It's all good, but it makes me laugh. Right. So again, we wear the masks to protect ourselves. The acceptance of the wound is key. It's key. Someone on my live yesterday said, I have no wounds. I give you love. I send you compassion. I send you joy, happiness. But you do have the wounds. I'm sorry to give you that very sad news. You do have the wounds. Even by saying that you don't have the wounds, you do. But this is the first step, accepting the wound, that this is key to start the healing process. And the wound of injustice begins to heal when you allow yourself to be less a perfectionist. Trust me, I'm not perfect. I am the most imperfect person I can say. I promise you. Make mistakes. Let yourself make mistakes. Be that clown. I promise you. Yeah, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes a lot, but I allow myself. I said to myself, I will come live regardless of what I say, regardless of what I don't care. I'm coming here to show up for people who need this information, for people who resonate with what I'm saying, for people who will have that aha moment. This is what I don't care how I'm perfectionist, I say it. Yeah, but allow yourself to be less. This is how healing starts. Yeah, less perfectionist, make mistakes without anger. Exactly, perfectionist is overrated. Absolutely. Give yourself a pat on the back. You've done really well, Mihaela, on this video. You've done really well. At least 50% of the people, probably they had an aha moment. So give yourself a pat on the back for anything. Leave that harsh self-criticism. Be gentle, be sensitive to yourself. Cry. I have a video which probably has over 1.6 million views. Crazy. Nehela from Basingstoke has 1.6 million views. People are writing there, I can't cry. This is your wound, my lovely. This is your wound. You can't cry because you can't let yourself to be sensitive. You're too perfectionist. You think that it's a weakness to cry. This is why come back to childhood. Read those comments. Go on my profile. I pinned that video. You'll see there 3 pinned videos. One of them is about crying, and you'll see exactly the comments there. It's just unbelievable, unbelievable, right? And coming back to this one, let yourself, be gentle, be less harsh, less criticize, self-criticism to you. Cry. Lose that control, lose that fear of judgment, lose that comparison to others. You don't need to compare with me, no. You are the light yourself. You are as you are. You are a divine light yourself. Everyone is. And again, coming back to the oils, I love to give you the oils, and then I'll give you shouldn't leave, because I'm going in the end of all of this, and I'm not going to stay long. I'm going to give you the ritual that changes everything. So I promise I won't be long, maybe another 15 minutes or something like that. First oil for the wound of injustice is Zendocrine. Zendocrine, okay, this is one of my favorite oils. Did you record this? It's raining here and I keep losing Wi-Fi. Yes, Pat, it is recorded. I'm going to post it in our WhatsApp chat. It's all good. With intention. I know Zendocrine is my best friend. I know peppermint is my best friend. I know adaptive is my best friend. I know jasmine is my best friend. What do I use Zendocrine for? Is the oil of vitality, is the oil of transition. It supports my body to go through change. It helps release those old habits. It awakens life energy. It restores motivation, enthusiasm. If you self-sabotage yourself, it opens the path to new experiences and relieves that apathy. So this is how I use Zendocrine and what I say to myself when I deepen with it. So that's Zendocrine. The next one is Ylang Ylang. Again, can it be in your WhatsApp chat? Absolutely. That one is more open to the people who already entered doTERRA with me, because they become my family. Network marketing, and I'm going to do a video on this as well. It is part of me. I'm not ashamed of it. Network marketing transforms strangers into friends and friends into family. So about 5 weeks ago, I didn't know who Pat was. She was a stranger on the internet. The same with Joanna. Who's Joanna? No one. They are now my best friends. We speak, we advise, we cry, we laugh, we discuss. I don't know everything. How can I get there? They entered the doTERRA. That is a private chat. We're only like 16, 17 people in the English speaking. I have Romanian speaking as well. I have a team of 200 something people. So I have a messenger chat for Romanians, and I have a WhatsApp chat for English speaking. And this is what I truly believe in. Pat, Joanna, Richard, and many more that are there. I only name them because the others don't enter life with me. They choose to so. It's their option. But these people, I didn't know them. They were complete strangers. They were complete, and therefore, this is why I say network marketing transforms strangers into family, into friends, and friends into family. Very powerful. Thank you very much. Yeah, lovely. So Ylang Ylang is the second oil, okay? And is the oil of inner child. It helps ease sadness. It helps ease those chaotic thoughts. emotional disconnection. It reconnects you with your true self and that inner child, that little you, okay? Encourages joy, restores innocence. Oh, it's such a lovely oil. Um, when I inhale, I sometimes feel like I can't sleep. I feel so much to deepen with them. I find it hard to speak because when I'm on my own and deepen with them, at least 5 minutes, I don't speak. Ylang ylang is very powerful in releasing and healing emotional trauma. An oil which is a must, and you will see it common in other wounds as well. Let me read what you. What degree are you? Do you have degree? You are very, very intelligent and inspiring. It smells amazing. It really does. What degree do I have? Trust me, degrees are not important, my lovely. And I observed that I learned more since I left that degree. I'm a social worker by profession. I studied 4 years of social work back in Romania. So, social work. So I have a university degree, whatever you want to call it. Then I studied another 3 years. I've done a master in philosophy. 3 years. Then I came to the UK, started to work as a social worker, and I didn't have enough. I am hungry for reading. I'm hungry for information. I'm hungry to learn. I've done further studies. I remember just before I came to the UK, I started my second university. One was not enough. I started studying English and German language. I only studied 1 year, of course, because of my wound of rejection. I stopped it. I gave it. I gave up. I said, "Oh, German, English. Oh, again, nah, I'll give up." Then I started my PhD, doctorate. It's called doctorate, PhD, whatever. I studied 3 years, and that was in human anthropology. I gave it up. I didn't finish it. And then I came to the UK, and that was not enough. And I've done a master in business administration. I finished that. So yes, I associate. Sometimes I put near my name, and that is more in LinkedIn when I used to get jobs and stuff. Mihaela Hegarty MBA, because I have an MBA. But that it means nothing, to be honest, because what I learned is not from this training or universities. It's by going back inside here, back to love, which love and going back, the oils taught me more than any university. Um, if it's private, I won't be cheeky. I'll watch you on YouTube. Absolutely, you can. What do you recommend for healing mast cell activation syndrome, histamine intolerance? Oh, we need to go there. Frankincense, you will need copaiba. But it's more than that. We need to go deep into the childhood wounds. We need to go into body, mind, and spirit, what happened there, to understand the real trigger for that ailment, disease. Okay. So let's continue with the oils. I'm not taking a lot of health issues questions tonight, but I will be doing a live on that. I have four other lives on the YouTube. I find you very intelligent along with your insights. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I find it hard to accept. Again, I told you I'm not fully healed. I find it very hard to accept compliments, but thank you. I really appreciate you. The next oil is geranium. Geranium, another oil in healing the wound of injustice, because it's the oil of love and trust. It supports emotional healing. It helps us forgive. It opens the heart chakra. We said people are staying like that and they are covering it. It opens your heart chakra, your heart to compassion, even towards those who were unfair to you. even towards those, because you will start to understand they have their own traumas and they're suffering as well. And then you'll have compassion. It restores that bond with the parents. It brings your suppressed wounds to light. Um, yeah, I love geranium. It's a true emotional healer. Very, very. Let me see if I have it here because it's one of my favorite oils. Geranium. I absolutely love it. I'm going to smell it, but it's very hard for me to speak when I smell because immediately my mind is going. I release this. I welcome this in my life. So because I repeat so many times. Then again, another oil that I recommend is a line. How currently these oils, sorry, not currently, how currently those oils do this on limbic system. Every single moment, it's in the moment when I open this bottle and I inhale, I don't even have to put it close. It goes through the nostrils into the amygdala, into the brain, into the limbic system. And we know very well the limbic system is where our emotions, traumas, feelings, everything is stored in the limbic system. It's science. Google it. Google uh, limbic system and you'll see immediately. And smell is the only sense which goes immediately there. It's unbelievable, very, very powerful. So it's, you don't think, you just instantly go past a bakery, instant that smell. Oh yeah, my grandmother used to do those baking, cakes, whatever. A line. The next oil that I recommend is Align. It's called Align. It's part of the yoga kit. It reaches that heart space, to shift that heavy energy. It also facilitates self-acceptance and also the emotional balance. Not lymphatic system. It's called limbic system. Limbic, not lymphatic. Exact. Smells holds memories. Correct. You're very right. Then the next one is console. Console is the oil of comfort. It releases pain, anxiety, burdens. It supports rest, healing. Huge. It's huge. It helps release that. Well, it helps release and heal those wounds caused by injustice and loss. The next oil that I recommend is rose. Rose essential oil. How do you spell? Which one? I said a few oils. I don't know, probably my accent is not the best because, or maybe the name of the oils. I don't know. It's a few of them, and I can't type, by the way. 1 and 2. So, number 1 is Zendocrine, and number 2 is Ylang Ylang. Zendocrine, if you want to make like a screenshot, you can do it. I don't know how to pronounce it. Zendocrine, limbic system. There we are. And Matt put there for you limbic system. And the second oil is Ylang Ylang. You can do like a screenshot. Okay. Right. So these are number 2, 1 and 2, and you see Matt there put the limbic system, not lymphatic. That's a different system. So rose essential oil is the oil of divine love, the oil with the highest vibration, 320 megahertz. It has the highest frequency. It heals the heart from the past wounds. It supports emotions. It supports compassion, acceptance, love, healing, everything. I can't stand rose oil. Yes. Do you know something? When we can't stand an oil, it's because we have a lesson to learn there. And these are pure essential oils. If you smelled an oil from the Shopee, cheapy one, 100% you can't. Try to smell doTERRA rose oil. I smelled so many oils. You're right. No, They smell horrible. doTERRA rose oil, it's something else. It's something else. We need 50,000 petals to make 5 milliliter of pure essential oil. Really, I am from Bulgaria, and I said we have pure. Yeah, we have it. We do source ours from. Let me think. Esetere. Yeah, well, depends on what you smell. If you haven't smelled doTERRA, I invite you kindly to smell it. So the next oil is eucalyptus, which opens that emotional channels. Lemon again. And let me take some lemon because I also take it under the tongue or on my tongue now because of the purposes of this life and in water. Gentle detox, a cleanser. It releases that harshness. It dissolves that self-criticism. Amazing oil. And the last one for the wound of injustice is vetiver. Vetiver is very grounding. It reduces the rigidity. It softens. Amazing oil. And how do they work? They will help your body relax enough so you can start feeling again. And the affirmation that you should use for healing this wound are, I allow myself to feel, because this is where your blockage is, yeah, isn't it? From everything that I said, I allow myself to feel. My emotions are not weakness. I allow myself to be human. This is what how you should start. And if you work with this daily, you'll be surprised. So awareness exercises, write down what emotion am I avoiding right now? Just write it down. What emotions or emotion are you avoiding right now? And now, just before I close, good morning from Australia. It's so amazing. So amazing to where should we purchase quality oils at? You can purchase, I can help you, not from me personally, but I can help you open a doTERRA account. And yeah, I can guide you. You can be part of my groups, my support chat, yeah. So message me and we'll talk. So before we close down this, good evening from Boston. Amazing. Wow. Good evening. So lovely to see you. I'll give you a ritual that changes everything. Yeah, because is this what I practice? What I'll teach you, the rituals that I use daily to stay calm, to stay clear, aligned with my purpose, with my life purpose. Yeah, and no matter how others behave, I am always practicing this because it helps me a lot. So choose an oil. This is step one. Choose an oil which is aligned with your wound. From what I said, you need to watch the other videos. Video as well, part one. But choose an oil which is aligned with your wound. Okay, let's say that I'm going to choose frankincense. I'm going to choose frankincense because this month we also have a promotion whereby you get this one for free when you purchase for 200 points. 200 points is around $230, something like that. So when you do this kind of purchase, you get this one for free, and this is worth about $80. Let me read when it is so long. I need my glasses. I am sorry. I really don't know how to message, but please call me. Thank you. Love from USA. I don't know how to. I'll make one of these things and I'll message you. Okay. So choose an oil aligned with your wound. Okay. Then drop one drop in your palm. So I hope you can see. One drop. I put two. Okay, I normally use the coconut oil as well because of better absorption. Rub hands together. This is part of this ritual, okay? And this is step 2. Step 3 is inhale deeply, 3 breaths from your palm. That's kind of one deep inhale, okay? 3 of these, but 3 times. This will instantly signal your limbic system you're safe. And while you inhale, tell your nervous system, I am safe now. Okay, so I've done it 3 times. I'm safe now. Number 4, step 4 is name the emotion that you feel right now. I'm scared. I feel abandoned. I feel rejected. I feel unseen. I don't know what you feel. But name out loud the emotion. Because naming that emotion, it reduces its power by 40%. And naming also reduces the emotional activation instantly. Okay? Step number 5, reparent yourself and say to yourself, I'm here for you. I won't leave you. You are safe now. So say this. This is how it's work. This is how we work with essential oils. This is how we go deeper. They are not just for smell. There is so much education to be done in this world. People are 90% of the people associate oils with smell. They put it in diffuser and that's it. It's so much more than that. Step number 6, integrate. And then you ask yourself, what does my inner child need today? What does my inner child need today? And number 7 is boundaries. When I'm clear, I don't need to be cold. It's so powerful. I'm telling you, so powerful. Do this and let me know how you feel. I'm very curious. Message me. Because in the moment when you understand your wounds, you stop living in that survival mode. You start choosing relationships, not repeating them. You don't attract what you deserve. You attract what you haven't healed. When you heal your wounds, your relationships will transform. You will stop repeating those patterns. You will stop begging for love. You will stop shrinking to fit. Your silence becomes very powerful, and your boundaries will become natural. Your self-respect becomes magnetic. And always remember, when you become aware, you become free. That's what it is. How long does the oil keep before going off? Ours are like wine. We never go off. Even when, because of purposes of marketing and so on, they need to put like an expiration date. However, oils are like wine, doTERRA oils, not others. I'm not using others. So doTERRA oils are like wine. The older that they are, the more effect they have. The more healing they bring, the more powerful they are. So for me, there is no expiration date on doTERRA oils. Wow, another almost 2 hours, 1 hour and 40 something minutes. I really appreciate every one of you who are here and listening. Thank you so much for allowing yourself to stay here and listen. Tomorrow I'm coming again. Thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate you. Tomorrow I'm coming again live, probably in the evening as well. I don't know, but probably yes. Thank you. Let me read some comments. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. I thank you very much. Thank you so much. And tomorrow we'll see each other again. I'm coming live every single day. I show up imperfectly, how I am, authentic. Thank you for your time as well. A fresh smell of pine is something calms me a lot. What wound would I heal? When you're talking about trees and cedar, like woody smells, they come in all of them because they are grounding. All of the scents which are woody, they are grounding, and it is needed in every single wound. So and I keep on saying, we have all the 5 wounds, but some of them are more deep than others. So use that. Well, I don't have pine at doTERRA. Probably it's from another firm. I normally use cedar wood. I use Siberian fir. I use Douglas fir, and I mentioned about Douglas fir as well. It's very powerful. Douglas fir is especially on the, well, they all have, all the wounds have, but it's in relation to the wound of humiliation, the Douglas fir. Okay, because it's it's the oil of wisdom, and in general, because woody smells, and they are trees, they live hundreds of years, they see loads of generations, and this is why they are oil of wisdom. They encourage freedom, and especially from that destructive family patterns. They promote healthy relationships. They heal that transgenerational wounds. So use it with intention, but be mindful of the purity. I'm going to do another video just on purity. Right. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Good night. Good day, wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye, everyone. I'm going to close the YouTube first. Okay. Now it's